a podcast to honor the gods.
This better come with a sacrifice.
Dave X Media.
Welcome to the restricted section, in which I am breaking up with Harry Potter, and actually it's the easiest breakup I've ever been through because everyone knows you're not a fucking ally if you're dating someone who's transphobic, bitch! If you haven't done the reading, don't worry, we did it for you. Here's what we're talking about this week. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Chapter 21, The Unknowable Room, in which Harry Potter repeatedly tries and fails to enter the Room of Requirement, and that's it. I'm your host, Christina. My co-host today is Andrew. Say hello to the listeners, Andrew.
Hello, everyone.
And our special guest today is Danni. Say hello to the listeners, Danni.
Hey, everybody. Always a fun time to be back hanging with you guys.
You may remember Danni from our legendary J.K. Rowling is canceled episode. It's so funny because at the time I was like, Haley, is this too controversial of an episode title? And Haley was like, no, it'll get him. And now, like, with all of this hindsight, I'm like, we fucking canceled her like hell that day.
Hell yeah.
We've never gone back.
I think you did the appropriate amount called for given the situation. I think...
Yeah, it's more of like a duration of cancel now.
Exactly.
Like,
it's reinforcement, right? Like, you can't just train a dog by correcting a behavior one time. You got to constantly, you know...
It's true.
When you have a less than human pile of hate and badness, you've just got to constantly remind it that it's worthless. So, you know.
Like Daenerys Targaryen, we moved forward and we could not look back.
Oh my God. With every copy sold, her soul split further.
Damn, that's a lot of Horcruxes, my guy.
Danni, how the hell have you been since you were on the pod last? Whatever that was. I'm not going to look it up, guys. Don't worry.
It's okay. I don't know either. It's fine. Time is an illusion. So it is what it is. I've been, I've been hanging out. Listeners, I just told these lovely people that I hit my reading goal this year, which I'm really proud of myself for, 30 books.
Bow, bow, bow.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to go beyond that. So I've just basically been, getting stoned, reading books, going to work, vibing. That's it.
Yeah.
That sounds lovely.
That's the life. That is the life. So, Danni, where does book 6 fall for you, like, in your ranking of the books? Is it, like, one of your more favorite or your less favorite?
That's a good question. I don't think I ever really thought about where this book ranked for me. I don't know. I would say this is... It's maybe controversial. I like all the Harry Potter books, obviously. But I think this is probably like maybe a 4 for me,
Ooh.
It's,
One of your lesser favorite?
Yeah.
Middle lesser?
Yes, one of the middle lessers. Like, it's still good. It's still up there, but it's not my fave. Especially in reading this chapter, we'll dive into it, but we definitely got a couple of
This chapter sucks though. This chapter was so boring and stupid. Like, this was the boring, honestly, like Half-Blood Prince after Order of the Phoenix, we've been like, oh nice, every chapter has stuff happening, like we're really doing plot. This is the first chapter, no stuff happening.
Yeah, and it's also like reading it now as an adult, knowing about, she who must not be named. We'll get into it, but there's definite moments of her transphobia in this chapter that I definitely would not have noticed, a million years ago when I read this book. So
totally. And it's really funny because I wrote that intro about not dating someone who's transphobic, bitch. And like, without thinking about the content of this chapter, it was like at random. And then I also just invited you on at random. Like, things always align for the restricted section. I've never done one lick of planning for this podcast.
I love that.
Everything is a happy accident.
I love that. Happy accidents make the world go round. I mean, Bob Ross, he loved happy accidents, right? No such thing as a mistake, just a happy accident.
Don't worry about it. We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
R.I.P.
last summer I worked at a brewery and nobody ever came in, and I got $15 an hour before tips. And I had Bob Ross on all the time, and I was just reading like a book a day. God, that was the best job. God damn, that was such a good job.
Every like third day, you just get a text from Tina like, "Hey, you know what you would really enjoy right now? Just coming by the brewery." And I was like, "No,
a beer,
no, I wouldn't.
A free beer. You don't want a free shitty
that beer? No, I do not."
I worked there and I could have as much as I wanted, and I couldn't.
And you were like, "Oh, this is fine."
It must have been really bad if you couldn't get takers
terrible.
on free beers or even free beers for yourself.
They had like the 1 or 2 beers, and then when those are out, it's like, I can't do the rest of these.
Yeah.
Fair.
They had seltzer though, which was solid because it's kind of hard to fuck up seltzer. Either you like know how to make seltzer or you don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, seltzer's great.
It was okay. It still wasn't.
Compared to the rest, it was much better.
Well, compared to getting my head cut off, having a arm removed is really not that bad. Like, who knew?
I'm painting my nails right now, just so everyone knows. It's like really hard for me to find like an hour where my hands are resting.
I mean, they're
dry.
Not technically resting right now, though. They're actively painting.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm in my house just like living my life and I paint my nails, it's like, what am I doing now? Like, I can't just sit here with my hands completely unuseful.
What Tina's really trying to tell us is very subtly saying, y'all better keep talking because I've got 45 minutes until this is dry. So
that sounds about right.
I'm going to need y'all to keep going.
My plug for this week is Sally Hansen Insta Dry because it does dry in about like 2 or 3 minutes. So, but it involves like you do the one hand, if like ideally paint the one hand, let it dry. Then you have to now use that hand to paint the other hand, let it dry. And then you do a second coat. Sometimes you need to do a third coat. And then you have to go back with the nail polish remover and fix everywhere you fucked up. And it's a lot of places. You fucked up in a lot of places.
Guess what? You did.
It's so funny that you're bringing this up because 2 of my amazing coworkers, I work in a school. 2 of my coworkers, Andrea and Mackenzie, they are always talking about how they're accidentally chipping their nails. And it's so funny because, Mackenzie will chip her nail and be like, I need to make an emergency nail appointment. And they say that they go.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's really funny. And they're great. But they go to these, nail appointments either regularly or emergency because they have said that same struggle that they just can't find the time to free up their hands and they just fuck it up.
When I was a kid, I have like really vivid memories of when I was a kid, my aunt would paint her nails at stoplights because I don't know. I was just like on a lot of road trips with her. She's like my mom's sister. They're tight. And I'd be in her car and she would paint her nails at stoplights. So then you're like driving.
That sounds terribly dangerous.
A bit.
But you're at the stoplight though. You can do anything you need to at a stoplight. You can even switch drivers at a stoplight if you're quick about it.
I've seen it happen.
I've done it. I've been that driver.
I have done these things. I have said and done.
All right, well, let's get into the chapter because nothing happened. So that means there's a bunch of like tiny shit that we're probably gonna like tangent about.
That's true.
Love that for us.
Remember last time you resented coming on a chapter and we had our friend Jay on with us and we went on and on because there was just like a bunch of dumb little shit that we enjoyed talking about?
True.
And because Jay was extremely charming, fantastic, and chatty, yeah. Okay, so when I originally like took these notes, I was reading Half-Blood Prince like all the way through at that brewery job that I was reading like a book a day, and it was so funny because anytime anyone walked in, I would like hide it. I'm like, I can't be seen reading Harry Potter in public. I'm 30, like, and then. And she's a transphobe. And then, like, somebody would be like, oh, is that Harry Potter? Because it's Harry Potter, and especially the later ones are the most recognizable books in the world.
Oh, God, yeah.
And it's like, you have, like, a choice. And am I going to lie to this person's face, or am I going to open the Harry Potter door? Because they're both really bad options.
I had similar comments today because, again, I work in a school, so this isn't even my copy of the Half-Blood Prince. I went to my school's library and I said, hey, where's the Half-Blood Prince? I need to read it.
That every library is legally required to have
Exactly.
copies of Harry Potter.
So it was just funny, leaving it in my classroom when I was out and about. So many people just picked this up and was like, oh, who's reading this? And it's like, me. Hi, Mr. D. I'm reading this. Not, the room of like 12-year-olds, but me.
I do think it's a good sign that it was in stock, though, right? Because that means the kids aren't actively reading it. So
it's true. My kids are mostly movie watchers, so like I did kind of ask who has read it, and most of them were like, "No, but I've seen the movies." Get it?
Which is so wild to me because I feel like the movies don't make any fucking sense if you haven't read the book.
Yeah,
but maybe I'm wrong because the whole rest of the world seems fine with them.
We're definitely a unique generation of Harry Potter fans. Like, I think back to like book release parties. Are those even a thing anymore? Like, do people still party at Barnes and Noble? Come on. It was the place to be.
Danny, did you go to the midnight book releases?
I went to one, and I think it was for whatever one came out in like hold on. I actually just looked up when they came out today. It was Deathly Hallows 2007. Yeah. So yeah, I did go to one. It was a good time. Yeah. I had an English teacher who was there, and she dressed up as oh my God, words are hard. Bellatrix Lestrange. So it was really cool.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that is cool.
It's a good time. Did you guys ever go to premiere parties?
Every time.
No, I did. You went to a lot of them, Andrew?
Every time. From fourth on. I
need you, because I'm planning a Patreon bonus episode about the midnight releases, because I never went to any.
Okay.
So I need to get you on that, Andrew, because I never went to any. I had this thing where my birthday was either like a couple days before or a couple days after the book came out. So I never, ever had to think about getting the book at all. It would, and I wasn't on the internet. Like, it's not like the day it dropped, I was like ducking spoilers like people are now. So it would just show up, and I wasn't even at school because it came out in the summertime. So like the book would appear in my life within a couple days of its launch, and that's good enough for me.
So first of all, you're crazy. You should have been reading it as soon as the printed word was available, because that's what a normal person would do. Second of all, not only did I go to every midnight release from the time they started, I convinced my parents oftentimes to drop me off on their way to work. So I was usually in like the top 20 of people getting them.
Andrew, that's really cool. Wait, say no more. If you want to hear any more about this fucking story, sign up for our Patreon.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. Because, I've got some stories. I've got some stories.
Yeah, this party's got wild.
That's good, because we already tried to record this episode actually one time, and I have me, Brooke, and Grace on it, and Brooke could not attend as Freya was refusing the sweet release of sleep. So we had to postpone it. Okay, let's get into the chapter. Wait, guys. Do you remember 100 years ago I said I took notes on this book like a year and a half ago at the brewery?
At the brewery. Was there an end to that sentence?
Yes. The reason I said that is because I was just writing these all in one go, like not week to week. Mm-hmm. And so my notes start with the first word of my notes is just a week later. And I'm like, what happened a week ago? I literally don't remember. Oh, whatever happened last week, listeners, I'm sure you remember because you're smarter than me. A week later, this is when this chapter starts.
From whatever that shit was, now we're on to this shit.
Oh, man.
So Harry's trying to figure out how to get that memory from Slug. He's reading his potions book. We're in the common room one night, and he sees this little spell written in the... Wait, I almost said corridors. What's it called? The margins of the book. And it says Sectum Sempra. That's probably nothing.
I'm sure it'll never come back.
It's never going to come back. And,
nope.
And definitely not in the gayest way.
The gayest way possible.
The gayest scene in the whole book.
I think it's one of my favorite scenes because it's just Harry going from happy and I've got this to like, oh god, no.
Dude, I feel like we all know the feeling of the moment of realization of I have made a terrible mistake.
Oh, 100%.
Or like specifically, I have taken something way too far, way too quickly, and like escalated it to a point that there might be long-term consequences involved.
Yeah, this is serious.
No, Sirius is a different guy.
Sirius is dead in this one.
It's funny because I recently recorded with Zach over on Belated Binge, and I don't know if those episodes like have come out yet or if they're going to come out soon. Listeners, my Belated Binge episode has come out, so please go listen to it. It's a lot of fun. And thanks to Zach for having me on. We were recording about the Prisoner of Azkaban when Draco Malfoy is like pretending to be injured. So it's really crazy when Harry super recklessly, super intentionally, like viciously injures him. Anyway, that's not this fucking chapter. Is that the next chapter? It's the next chapter, I think. Or maybe the next chapter.
You know, it's somewhere in the book. That's what matters.
Yeah. Apparition tests are coming up for Ron and Hermione, who are both already 17, or like they will be 17 by the date. I think Ron's birthday is March 1st, and Hermione's birthday is like September 9th or something, like September 3rd. She's a Libra.
Yes. Same girl.
Did y'all get your driver's licenses as soon as possible when you were younger?
Yeah, I think I did.
See, I tried to, but I'm not great with, taking tests because of anxiety, so I failed a bunch of times. But eventually I got there. It's fine.
Yes.
I own a car.
That's
Keep
the only
with
thing
it.
that matters.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the only thing that matters. What about you, Andrew? Did you get it right away?
Oh, yeah. I think literally I got the learner's permit the day I was able to, and then I think I got my license one day later because I had to do a court date, I think, to get it.
When I grew up, I lived in the middle of nowhere, cannot walk to a friend's house. And my parents had a rule that I wasn't allowed to get in the car with anyone who wasn't my friend's mom. So all my friends who were getting their driver's licenses were not allowed to come get me.
It's because your parents wanted you to live. That's the reason why.
Dude, but at what cost? At the cost of me living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I couldn't go hang out with my friends.
Yeah, that's
So I was desperate for that driver's license.
My dad made a really cool deal with me when I was a kid. He said as long as I can afford to pay for my insurance, he would always make sure that I had a vehicle, right? Because he knew how important it was for me to be able to Now, he never said a great one, right? So my first truck was older than I was, but it was a vehicle, and I could get from point A to point B. Plus, I did a bunch of football and wrestling and, extracurricular activities and whatnot.
Yeah.
So there was always need for transportation.
Yeah, I stayed after school for drama a lot, and it was a similar thing.
I was, inner city, so there was always ways of getting around,
Yeah.
bumming rides.
Public transit, interesting.
Yeah, public. I definitely took the city bus. My fair share of times are always, friends, whatever. I did a lot of walking back in the day, so that too.
My inner suburbanite always shows up whenever I go to a place that has public transportation because there's a part of me that genuinely loves public transportation. So I'll
I love it too. It's the best thing.
I'll get on the subway in New York and there'll be people going crazy around me and I'll just be smiling this is fantastic. This is low cost and it's efficient.
It's the best. And Richmond is a city, but we have a horrific public transit system. I swear to God, we've ranted about this on the podcast for some other fucking reason before. And I grew up in Fairfax, which has nothing. It has a very shitty bus system.
It has one bus and it sucks.
Yeah, my bestie David relied on the bus to get to work, and he pretty much every other week had to call me and be like, I missed the bus. I need you to take me to work. Or the bus isn't coming. I need you to take me to work.
That's rough.
A lot of buses not coming. So I would probably want to know how to apparate. Even if it's uncomfortable, you eventually get used to it.
Yeah.
You would think. I
really appreciate Ron stressing over this because, I read his stress, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, Ron. This would be me in this driver's license, situation. I'd be Ron, and I get it.
I've always was obsessed with the idea of apparition just because I thought that, like, if you were a muggle-born person who learned how to apparate, you could become the most successful drug dealer of all time.
Oh, 100%.
And it wouldn't even be dangerous. It wouldn't even be dangerous.
Yeah, someone spots you, you're gone in a flash. Like, wow.
And, like, I'm not proud that that's where my 16 to 17-year-old brain went, but the moment that I, like, was reading about this chapter, I was like, I would deal drugs. I would absolutely deal drugs with
having that.
The magic that this literal magic this universe is providing me, and I'm like, I could make a profit off that.
If we could go on Shark Tank and pitch this idea, I think we'd have backers. So I am proud of you. I support you. If we can make this a reality, then let's do it.
The support of my fans means everything. So
good.
Ron is doing his homework and he starts spelling stuff wrong and like getting confused about it. And he realizes he's using Fred and George's spell check quill and the spell is wearing off. So rather than like failing to check his spelling, it's like aggressively misleading his spelling. And this is where we get the legendary Runel Waslib misspelling of Ronald Weasley.
I love it.
We're finally here, everyone. We made it.
Shout out to our friend Motz, who was in last week's episode, actually. And he, like, half of the Zoom calls that I've been in with him, which has been a lot, his name is just Runel Waslib.
Amazing. I love that.
It's, like, such a good joke. No, this is like a small to medium joke. It's a very funny joke when in a couple chapters Snape finds this and is like, "Who's that?" And Harry's like, "It's my nickname."
Can I share my pet theory with y'all?
Yes.
I don't think the quills were running out of power.
I had the same thought.
I think the only thing better than making an actual self-correcting quill in Fred and George's mind would be making something called a self-correcting quill that does self-correct for a while and then turns to be misspelling on purpose. And like probably goes back and forth.
Yes, I had that same thought, Andrew. I'm so glad you brought that up. I was thinking the same thing. I was questioning, is this really a correction quill or are his older brothers yet again fucking with him? I think they were fucking with him.
I love that.
Yeah. Well, and we know if there's anything that Fred and George will do, they will prove to have mastery of incredibly complex magic just to perform a very simple joke.
Oh, 100%.
Like that is the true show of power that these two guys have, is they'll like do something astounding just to make someone smell a fart. Like, I love it. It's
amazing.
So that's so brotherly of them.
It really is.
Like, as someone who has brothers, it's like big brother energy.
It really is, though. It's such a, from a prank level, that's a really great one. It's a slow build up because at first he's like, yeah, this is great, spelling all the things, and then, he's Ronald Weasley. So there's that.
Runel Waslib. Don't get it twisted.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Put respect on his name.
Respect.
Hermione offers to fix his paper, and Ron says he loves her.
I love
she blushes.
He's so desperate for Lavender to dump him so he doesn't have to dump her, and it's so annoying, but I was pulling these exact same stunts when I was his age. I cannot blame him. It's like, how mean do I have to get before I make you dump me?
I really loved reading these moments throughout the chapter with Ron and Hermione, because obviously, it's the slow build of their eventual legendary makeout scene, and the rest is history.
Those are the two children I want to be romantically involved in this story.
That's fair, but can we also just talk about, I really hate that this is definitely a tangent, but if memory serves me correctly, they named one of their children Hugo, and I remember reading that and being like, where does that even come? Like, Ron named this child, and Hermione, why did you let him?
I think Hugo is a classy name.
Oh, I'm not a fan.
What I'm saying is, like, whether or not you like it, I think right now it is, like, kind of in as like a classic, classy, aka like hipster kind of name.
Okay, I think in that sense, I like it a bit more.
AKA my neighbor just named her baby Hugo.
Oh my god, I'm sorry.
I don't give a shit.
Isn't that an award of some sort?
Yeah, Hugo Award for science fiction writing.
Yeah, that I knew. See, to me, it's not a name. You know, it's
an award.
Yeah,
but isn't that award named after someone?
We don't need to get into that. We don't need to go there.
What do you have to say about Hugo weaving?
You know, I don't think I thought this Hugo thing through.
I literally, Danni, don't feel bad, because I literally sat here and was like, Hugo weaving is popping into my head, and I cannot remember why. And I just had to like pull out my phone and Google Hugo weaving ? They're like, dude, he's an actor. I was like, okay, thank you, Google.
Yeah,
Andrew,
I get it.
Whoa, you should have hit the pipe again. As soon as the common room is clear, Creature and Dobby appear. And then they have some words for us to say right here. I don't know.
This isn't uncomfortable at all. We should just talk about this and not feel uncomfortable, because
anytime the house elves show up, I'm uncomfortable.
It's one of those things that blows me away with how little I like, how much it didn't freak me out when I was younger. That's the part that blows me away.
It's normal. This makes perfect sense.
Well, I mean, it's like, in a way, Harry Potter was kind of like the first cult that a lot of us had experience with, right? Like,
I like that.
Some of us got way too into it.
We were both raised Catholic, and after that, it came Harry Potter.
Yeah, the first one that later on we might have recognized, yeah. But like, because it was the first one that like I really got to know a community with, and like I really, got involved in, and I love the shit out of it. And like, I get now how you can be like these people in these cults, and they're like, no, it's fine. And they're like, but he hasn't let you eat for the last 4 days. And they're like, yeah, but like, this is what's best for me. And then I read a thing about a house elf, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can get it.
Yeah. Dobby hasn't been sleeping. It's just really awkward. He has like trouble talking about Malfoy because Malfoy used to enslave him. Harry figures out eventually, like, Dobby's telling him that Malfoy has been going to the room of requirement with a variety of students. And they're like, what?
Whoa.
Mind's blown.
Whoa.
They're like, I only have more questions.
But more? That's not less, said Harry.
The elves vanish. I think we all just are trying to blast through the elves because we all hate it.
Yeah. It is awkward. I do like the part where Dobby just yells that Draco's a bad boy. I find that very funny. That is that, little moment of awkwardness. Yeah, he's a bad boy. That's not Dobby's voice at all, but that's kind of how I read it. So,
What, and I love, doesn't he yell it at Creature specifically? So it's like his moment of triumph is being able to speak ill to another house elf about like he's rising up in a way, and I love that for him.
Yes,
it looks great on him.
Right before he tries to cast himself into a fire. Oh, Dobby!
I feel like I especially hate having Dobby and Creature together because it's kind of like the two.
Yeah,
like, I feel like she's like, one of these is a problem and the other one is the solution, and it's like, no. The solution is you should not have invented this race to subjugate it.
Yeah, it's not great.
The scenes just like leave me feeling awkward, and like I also kind of feel like we've like said everything about the elves, and like every time they come up it's just like the same feeling of like, this is not handled well. I personally feel uncomfortable.
There's just no reason.
Yeah. So the elves leave. Trio chit-chats a little bit more. Eventually, Harry has an epiphany, which, like, that's cool. It's cool that he's figuring things out with his brain.
Whoa!
His big boy brain.
Big boy brain. He realizes that Crabbe and Goyle have been using Polyjuice Potion to disguise themselves as other students, like stand guard outside the room of requirement for Draco Malfoy discreetly. And they did so using Polyjuice Potion. Well, he figures anyway that they could have stolen it from Slughorn because he had it like out in a vat that day in potions class.
Which, like, to do it this many times and for as long as they're doing it, like, they would have had to have stolen so much.
Yes.
Like, barrels of this shit. Like, I think Slughorn would have noticed. Call me crazy, but I think a experienced long-term professor would have noticed if gallons of Polyjuice Potion were nicked from his cupboards.
I feel like that day in class, Malfoy stole the Polyjuice Potion just like a little bit and then was like, oh, here's how I can use this. I'm going to make it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. I mean, part of me questions if Malfoy is really smart enough to handle making a Polyjuice Potion himself. Because, you know, Malfoy is Malfoy. He done goofs quite a bit, but, you know.
What if, like, Pansy Parkinson is smart or something and we just never learn about it?
I would love that, honestly.
And he gets her to do stuff for him?
Oh.
I gotta say, I think Malfoy is smart. I think he's just cowardly, right?
Okay.
Like, the ironic thing about Malfoy is he is largely what he tries to make fun of Neville for, right? He's everything that he claims Neville is. He's a coward that has no spine, that doesn't believe in himself, that's constantly worried about what other people think, and is really just a sad sack, right? Like that. It's not nice being Neville or not being Draco Malfoy, but like he's actually pretty competent from everything that we see. Like he goes into all the further classes with Harry. He's pretty competent and capable. He's just a coward.
That's a fair point.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is in an owl class, but also Snape is the one who was grading him before this and like might not have been doing it consistently with other students. So the next day at breakfast, Ron and Hermione are going into Hogsmeade to practice apparition additionally for their test. So Harry plans to spend the day trying to force entry into the room of requirement.
Smart. Good use of time.
And Hermione, like, is not trying to help. And Harry's like, that's really shitty of you because, you know, you could be a great help to me right now.
Tell me the answer or you're not a good friend.
Tell me what they do. Yeah. I do just, if it's cool, I do just want to circle back. I should have mentioned this before, but like we hinted on it before, the transphobia in this chapter a bit, and it definitely comes out, you know, in that epiphany Harry has about, you know, Crabbe and Goyle. And, you know, if you just look at the commentary, you know, when they find out that they've been the little girls, like Ron, precious baby Ron, is like not happy that he's got Crabbe and Goyle transforming into girls. Blimey, no wonder they don't look too happy these days, you know. So it's just we know. I don't like that.
You might as well be saying like, I, Ronald Weasley, would feel terrible if I were forced to live as a woman.
Yeah, and to me it's
which is so crazy to me because I consider myself to be a cis woman, but like if I was in a dude's body, I'd be like, I'm going to try this out for a while. This is kind of cool. You know what I mean?
Let's take it for a test run, right?
Take it for a test run.
Yeah.
It's not like a punishment.
Yeah, it's like you're shopping for a car. Let's go, you know? That'd be cool. I'm into it, you know? But to me, it was also just, you know, not on brand for who I interpret Ron Weasley to be, you know? Obviously, you know, when we read, we all have our different interpretations of characters of what's going on. And my interpretation of Ron Weasley is not someone who would be this upset that, you know, guys were transforming into girls. Like, Ron is too good for that.
Well, and especially when you consider that, like, every single female, like, well, I don't want to say female, that sounds stupid, but like every woman that Ron has interacted with in his family. Women, right, because when they're human, they're women. Every woman that he has like a relationship with is a strong woman, right? There's no like, you know, non-fierce people in his life, from his mother to Ginny to Hermione. Like, why would he see this as anything negative? I just don't get it.
You're right. Ron is surrounded by bad bitches, and he knows it.
Yeah, exactly. So Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
I get you.
Danny always gets me.
That's what I'm here for.
So the next day at breakfast, Harry's plan to force entry into the room of requirement. Hermione is trying to help. And then in the newspaper, they see that Mundungus has been arrested.
Oh no,
So that's
that character we care so much about.
Oh no!
Yeah,
stop,
we're really worried about
please.
it.
Don't.
Not him.
Oh.
I'm invested.
Wearing the invisibility cloak, Harry goes to the corridor where the room of requirement lives, and it's empty. And he's like stomping about, being like, "Show me Draco, my crush, Draco. Show me Draco."
Bring me my boyfriend.
So this is like the most simple third month of D&D puzzle, and he just cannot get it, right? Because he constantly doesn't realize all you have to do is think the thought that Draco would think, which is like, show me someplace safe, someplace I can hide, someplace, these are pretty wide parameters.
Yeah. He's just so...
And he knows that that's what... Right, and every thought is, break your other rules to show me... No, or like, just go and say, I need a room with a log of every time this room has been accessed and the reason why.
Ooh, there you go.
You know who probably would have been really good at this like thought experiment of trying to find Draco in the room of requirement? Luna Lovegood, because that bitch thinks in like very unique ways, and I feel like she could have figured out. And she's a Ravenclaw, isn't she? She
is. She would have used some like long extinct or never existent species that it would be a hatchery of that have the ability to teleport you directly to like where the person you're looking for. It would be something absurd and crazy and beautiful like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the image of Harry just kind of stomping around angrily, like, give me my requirement now, man. I'm Harry Potter. That's not how I think of him, but that's kind of how this felt a little bit for me, knowing that Harry was just so fixated on Draco and not what he really needed,
Yo, think about this. Think about if you had been one of the people who had, like, stuck with Harry, right? The Ministry turns on him, and you stick by his side. And, like, it looks like Voldemort's coming back, and you believe he's the one. You think he's the chosen one. And then you're walking down the corridor and see him walking back and forth in front of this one section of wall, walking up to it, feeling if it's solid, stamping his feet,
he's wearing the invisibility
walking
cloak.
away.
That's why he put the cloak on. That's why he put the cloak on so people don't see him doing that. He knows it's crazy.
It would have been amazing.
I actually made a mistake. Ron and Hermione aren't in Hogsmeade right now. They go to Hogsmeade later. This time he just abandoned his friends to go do this activity.
His friends and his mission.
And it doesn't work. Like, he cannot figure out how to find Draco, so he leaves.
I love that this character, who knows how to sneak out better than damn near any other character in the castle, doesn't just go to Slughorn's room after dark. Like, he's not going to be anywhere else but his room. He lives there.
Yeah.
He's a professor. And, like, he hasn't done this one most obvious thing. I just can't corner him. Are you really trying? Harry, I'm going to need you to look me in your eyes and tell me that you're really trying. Because if that's your best...
You know how we say you remind us of Dumbledore from a Harry Potter musical? Or is it Puffs? No, Puffs. It's a Harry Potter musical. No.
Yes, it's Puffs. I think it's Puffs. Whichever one was the flip-flop wearing bathrobe.
No, exactly. It's one of those two. I conflate them a lot. But you sound like Dumbledore in the scene where he's like, Harry, come on, man.
I mean, when you're right, okay?
In Defense Against the Dark Arts, Seamus is like, Professor Snape, how do you know if you have an inferi? Like, how do you identify an inferi? That's a cool thing to ask Severus Snape, who is the meanest person on earth. And Harry's like whispering about it. So Snape asks Harry to state the difference between a ghost and an inferi. And Harry is like, okay, well, ghosts are transparent. And Snape's like, oh, are ghosts fucking transparent, you idiot?
Hey, everybody, look at this stupid guy. What an idiot.
6 years of magical education have not been wasted on you, Potter. Ghosts are transparent. Snape came in with assassin.
But it's like, come on, man. This is a very legitimate answer to your question.
It is, though. It is.
A teacher should say, like, yes, and, you know?
Right, that's not
possible.
enough information. I need you to go deeper.
You mean a
Expound.
5-year-old could have told us as much is not the appropriate response?
Which, you know what? I don't think he's right. I don't think a
I don't think he's
5-year-old.
right either.
I don't think a 5-year-old could tell you that. I think a 5-year-old could tell you. And then the ghost had a dinosaur, and the dinosaur had a big apple, and I like apples. And that's what 5-year-olds talk like.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that they're going to be like, well, actually, if you look at the inferi, you'll notice.
They're going to think you're talking about a fairy, or, you know, and be like, yeah, ghosts are ghosts and fairies have wings. Duh, you're dumb.
Yeah. Duh.
And then, like, go back to eating Legos or whatever. I don't know what children do. I hope they don't eat Legos. That's bad. Please don't eat Legos.
Yeah, and I'm sure that I was completely wrong with how much a 5-year-old would be talking, but still.
We don't have children. It shows.
No.
It's just that children are different from each other.
Yes.
So it depends. So Ron, like, defends Harry, his answer, and then Snape takes a jab at his inability to apparate, which is really mean.
Yes.
And specific.
A little funny, but mean. It's so specific.
Was
so
Snape,
as to
like,
be mean.
watching the special practice just to be like, who can I mock for this? Ooh, Weasley's not doing well.
Ooh.
Like, how much free time do you have as an adult to go to essentially a child's driver's license, lesson, and to watch people to be like, I'm going to mock them in class for that?
Yeah, that's some dedication right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harry and Ron go into the bathroom and Myrtle is there. And Ron's being mean to her, which is fine.
Ron continues
He
to be a
never stops
shithead.
being mean to her. Well, we were really impressed that he was nice to Luna like 2 chapters ago, but it doesn't last, I guess.
Oh, Ron.
Can't be nice to all women.
All women all the time? Pish posh, get out of here.
Yeah.
It's too hard. So it comes out that someone has been in the bathroom crying, like some boy has been in the bathroom crying. And Ron and Harry are like, a crying boy?
What? I've never heard of a thing like that.
They really treat it like it's this, like, oh my gosh. Like, they want this tea more than I've ever seen someone want tea. They're like,
Yeah, they do.
Who was crying in the bathroom?
Oh, what boy was in here crying? And the fact that they're just upset about Myrtle being in the boys' bathroom just kind of adds to it. They're already kind of, in that mindset, like, oh, there's a girl in the boys' bathroom and now there's a boy in here crying. Tell me everything.
Yeah, like, why do so many events... Here's the thing. So many events in Harry Potter take place in the bathroom, but you never see someone just piss. And I was thinking about this earlier because I was thinking about, like, the Yule Ball, how it says that the boys are outside playing snowball fight for, like, hours and hours. And then they go upstairs and all get dressed together for the Yule Ball. And I'm like, you don't need to show me. I need to know that they showered in between those two things. Like, I need reassurance. Just say showered. All these words, put showered in there.
I don't know. I don't know if 12 to 16-year-old, Gryffindor boys
You
would
have
put that
to
together.
shower.
Oh, I don't
You
think they
have to
showered.
shower.
I think they went right.
I'm fine,
from,
right, bro? What
Yeah.
they did is they took a little extra Axe body spray than normal.
Oh, yeah.
Third.
That they just showered in body spray. Yeah, I 100% think they went right from, the snow into those fancy suits and they were just ready to go.
God, snow's just water, okay? It's
Yeah,
just water.
It's like they showered outside. Hello.
Duh. It's pretty obvious.
So it's the next day that Ron and Hermione go into Hogsmeade for extra apparition lessons. And then Harry's like, I'm going to go to the fucking room of requirement. He sees Goyle on the map guarding it, so he runs up there.
He's like, you know what I'm going to do? Use my time wisely. I'm going to make smart decisions and prudent ones that go along with my long-term goals. And so he chases after his boyfriend.
And kicks walls. Continues his little temper tantrum.
It's an inability to, like, focus on what he should, due to a complete blindness about like what he's really thinking about right now. It reminds me of Sean and his house projects. It's like I literally cannot think about that other thing right now because I'm figuring out this other thing. Harry like puts on the invisibility cloak and he goes up to Goyle, who is disguised as a girl, and he spooks this girl.
Tina, hold on. Sorry, are you gonna put in the dun 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 like sound effect when you say he's dressed or he's disguised as a girl?
The audacity!
I just think you need to get the appropriate mood setting.
He spooks Goyle. He's like, hello. What does he say?
He says, hello,
like, oh.
You're very pretty, aren't you? Which is...
That is a very scary thing to say to anyone.
Yeah, I don't like that was Harry's choice of scaring this girl, essentially, human being. Yeah, not a fan. But he gets the job done.
He does get the job done. I think in his head, he's like, what does this guy who doesn't... He assumes that Goyle like super isn't into this and is like, what's the worst thing? I'm going to call him pretty. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which like Goyle could stand to be a little prettier. You know what I mean?
Can't we all? I get it.
It's a stupid plan because Goyle's going to get lost in that compliment. You know, Goyle's going to be like, I am pretty and I deserve to be pretty. And he's going to be unflappable for the rest of the day. No, see what Harry should have done, because Goyle's a fucking moron, is just walk up and be like, sup, Goyle? And be like, hey.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Oh, you got
it would have worked perfectly. But instead he gets all creepy.
Really off. Yeah, I would say something really off the wall. Like I'd walk up and say like, my crotch itches.
My crotch is itchy.
Or like, do you have any gum? Like I'd say something really random, but you're still disembodied though, so it's scary no matter what.
Do you folks think that somewhere in the depths of the World Wide Web, there is fan fiction about Harry and Goyle as his 11-year-old girl counterpart? Because if it exists, send it my way. I'm so curious.
I guarantee
I'm saying that.
Someone has written that. If not, I will write it tonight and send it
Thank
to
you.
It is not okay. No,
Harry's there now in front of the room of requirement, and he is doing the same thing he did yesterday. He is like, show me my boyfriend. Show me my boyfriend. Because now when he went there yesterday, he didn't know if Malfoy was in there, but now he knows Malfoy's in there.
Quotation marks.
I guess, yeah. I guess he knew Malfoy wasn't there yesterday because no one was standing guard. But anyway, it doesn't work, dude. Even though Malfoy's trapped in there, he still can't do it.
Yeah, for the rest of this book, he's going to slowly turn into more and more of like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3, where he's like doing the dancing and like, you know what I'm talking about? Where he gets all weird as shit and stuff. Like that's kind of Harry for the rest of this book until it gets real different real quick.
Yeah. I just love that he ran up to the wall and kicked it like, oh, little Harry, look at you go.
Yeah.
So
he's trying so hard.
Tried so hard and got so far. But in the end.
He kicks the wall. He kicks the wall. He loses his invisibility cloak. So now he's exposed and his frustration is exposed. And then
his shame is exposed.
Yeah, and he sees like an older friend. Like Tonks is there. It's like I was about to say she can regulate her emotions, but based on the way she's been portrayed in the last book, she cannot control her emotions, which is a fun thing for one of her few strong girl characters.
The way Harry acts here reminds me of like when y'all first started smoking weed. Did you ever run into one of those relatives that was just had enough respect for that you were like, I don't like the fact that I'm high around you right now? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Like you're kind of scared, like an aunt or an uncle that you're like, I kind of respect you, and I really like shouldn't be stoned around you.
Not necessarily with, like a relative.
All my family smokes weed.
Oh.
I love that. I wish that was my reality.
It's not the grown-ups, but like all of the kids smoked weed. I don't feel like I have that person.
I think that, or I definitely have had that feeling, just not with a family member. Like, just running into people at like Walmart, like, people at work and such.
Or like a
Yeah.
former
That's rough.
teacher or something. Like, it's like, ooh.
Definitely
Yeah.
when I'm really high and I go out in my backyard and my 2-year-old next door neighbor starts talking to me, I'm like, bye, honey. Like,
Bye.
That's cute though. Oh man.
So Tonks is like doing bad.
I
not
don't
great.
like seeing Tonks struggle.
Yeah, and it's like, what is she doing here?
This is one of those things that I know we haven't gotten there yet, but I hate the turn that is made in Tonks as a character from being this like super independent, like badass woman who's clumsy, but like badass as hell, into like the lovesick puppy dog who's like, but Remus, I just want to love you. It's like, fuck off. No, stop it.
Yeah.
This is not okay.
Yeah, it's like, why can't she be romantically involved or even a little heartbroken without it touching every other inch of her life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
like defining her.
Yeah, she's a strong enough character that I think that she definitely deserved that. I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So Harry goes down to meet Ron and Hermione for lunch, and Ron has finally made some progress apparating a bit. He missed, but he did move.
This was like this is like equivalent to, someone going in for the first kiss and missing. I loved it. Going, I overshot it a bit. But at least he moved. At least he got
really
there. Ron.
And then Harry tells them that he saw Tonks, and then he's like, I don't feel like I have an authority to make this speculation, but what if Sirius was in love with Tonks? Aren't they cousins?
Yes,
Aren't
they are.
First cousins? They're first cousins.
Yes, they are.
I think I forgot that. Yeah.
Well,
They're first cousins.
I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that what it turns out, she's bummed about Sirius, but this is like, she's still upset because this is the beginning of Remus not being okay with them having a relationship because of the war. That's what I assumed this was, though, because like, this is the first time that we get that stupid ass thing about like her Patronus change, and they're not specific because they don't want to give it away. They're like, it's some big like 4-legged thing.
Something.
Yeah, it's because they don't want. It's not actually Sirius. It's Lupin. It's the werewolf that it turns into, and like this is like the first time I think that it's supposed to be Tonks being all mopey and lovesick about Remus. That will eventually come out like, oh, that's the reason I've been off, not because of like the perfectly rational death of Sirius. Because when he's like, I loved him too, she's like, huh?
Yeah.
So it's not actually Sirius that she's thinking about. It's fucking Lupin.
Yeah, I just feel like this is a wild speculation. On Harry's part, I feel like he's just like, well, she is like really emotional about this. So it has to have been true love. And that's because he doesn't quite fully understand depth of emotion.
Or how family trees function.
Or how family trees function. Which I did just pull up the Black family tree, and they sure are first cousins.
Oh, wow.
Great. Monarchy.
It is what it is, I suppose.
And they're like, oh, we're pure blood. And it's like, at what fucking cost? Like, how on earth do you view like being pure blood as better?
Well, mainly
not
hemophilia. That's
having
the first
incest.
thing.
Yeah,
But there's a few others.
I'm not vibing with that at all. I'm kind of skimming through this conversation a bit, and I think, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence that it may be about Sirius. I don't see it being more than that personally. At least I'm not interpreting it that way. Like, I want to see your point. I'm gonna have to look at this further. Get into this really, because I want to see.
Like I
it,
said, I could be completely wrong, but it doesn't.
I thought
I'm interested. The way it hit me was more like him being like assuming that it was this one thing, and her being like, "Wait, Because that's why she's like, what? It's because it's like, wait, but you love Remus too? Then we have to have a talk if that's the case. Like,
Well, that's the end of the chapter.
Yay!
Is there anything, Danny, that we didn't talk about enough? Any funny jokes you want to highlight or anything like that?
I don't think so. I'm kind of skimming things here from, that conversation about Tonks and onward. Here I love that I've brought this up in episodes in the past about Ron shoveling mashed potatoes in his face. I remember bringing this up in the past, and I just love that we get that again in this book. Like, when I picture Ronald Weasley, I kind of picture him shoving mashed potatoes in his face. Like, that's just who he is. He's a mashed potato kind of guy, and I'm into it.
That's the best way to eat mashed potatoes, right? Like,
really?
If your verb choice is anything less than shoveling, you're not enthusiastic enough, and you don't deserve those mashed potatoes.
I agree 100%.
Wow.
If you're daintily eating potatoes, you don't get potatoes.
I feel
you're wrong.
We're very passionate about potatoes here on this podcast, and I think that it's important that people know this now.
Look for Danny and I's spin-off podcast, The Importance of Potatoes, mashed in
exactly.
Samwise Gamgee, that you?
Can we?
You guys both have such Samwise energy too, honestly.
I love that. Thank you. That's a great compliment. Can we just talk about here? Of course, Ron ends the chapter with a joke. Women, he said wisely to Harry, because Ronald Weasley knows so much about women.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Now.
He's the person I go to for advice.
100%. He knows it all.
That explains so much.
Yeah. Oh, Ron.
In 2023, would Ron subscribe to fucking Andrew Tate?
I don't think so. I'd like to think that Hermione makes him a better man.
Better
Can't find a better man.
Oh, Pearl Jam. Love it.
Yeah, I don't like to dream of that for him, Andrew.
I'm not saying I'd be happy with it. I don't want it, but I think he's the person that Tate would be advertising to. I'm just saying.
I think maybe if he and Hermione somehow ended in a bitter divorce, then I can see.
There's no way they don't end in a bitter divorce.
I can see him gravitating towards Andrew Tate after a bitter divorce with Hermione. Yeah,
oh god! So he gets totally far right and anti-Muggleborn and shit.
Yeah.
He turns into one of those assholes. Oh god, MAGA Ron.
I would hate that so much, but I can see that. I mean, Hermione really she keeps this man in check, and I love that for her.
And that's Danny's warning to all of us. We could all be that level of loser if we don't actively check ourselves.
Before you wreck yourselves. Yeah.
Andrew, do you have any final words about the chapter?
No.
Yeah.
No.
This was kind of lame. I feel like when you picked this chapter, Danny, you were like, let's do the Unknowable Room. I was like, that's going to be a good one. That's a fun one. And then I read it and I was like, oh no, it's not.
I do remember when I picked these chapters out, because it was when I visited last over the summer, and I was sitting on your couch with you, and you were like, here, pick these dates. And we definitely had that conversation, and I was also like, yeah, this is going to be a really good chapter. And then I sat down and I was like, oh, wow, this is a pretty boring chapter. But you know what? It's still a good time hanging out, coming on.
Yes,
so.
It's always a good time.
Yes.
And you're going to get your redemption, because do you remember what chapter you're on for the Deathly Hallows? Because we already decided.
I want you to remember the state that we were in when we were sitting on your couch when I picked these out, because I have absolutely no idea what I signed myself
we
up
decided
for.
we decided that you, me, and Haley are gonna do the chapter The Battle of Hogwarts, because it might literally be a 3-hour episode, and I was like, I need someone who can commit to this.
I can commit to this 100%. I'm your guy to sit here for 3 hours. I can commit to more if need be. I can easily put aside time for this.
There's no way I'm editing a 3+ hour episode.
I was going to say, I don't believe you. I call bullshit.
Let's do plugs.
Let's do it.
Danny, do you want the people to find you on the internet?
Yes, folks, you can find me on Instagram at ddcresanti. That's me. Picture of me and my beautiful cat Velvet. As for books, it's an oldie but a goodie. One of my favorite authors is Tim O'Brien. So I just finished. I think this is the fifth novel I've read from him, but I just finished In the Lake of the Woods. It was pretty great. I'd recommend it. Good stuff. I love me some war stories.
Hell yeah! Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah. Andrew, what are you plugging this week?
So this is kind of a weird plug because it's something that won't have come out yet, but in like late January, Sarah Jaraz's new album is coming out, and like if you do not know who Sarah Jaraz is, you've got to listen to her. She's just fucking fantastic.
Yeah, you texted about her today.
Yeah, she her pre-release singles came out for the album, so I highly recommend checking those out because it's just, if you've never listened to folk music, it just makes your heart feel good. So
I love that. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Cool. I've been your host, Christina. You know where to find me. And this week I'm plugging myself. I wrote a book, indie book publishing from start to finish, It's going to be awesome. And it's like almost a 300-page book, like a total blanket overview of the publishing process as told through like an indie small publishing lens. And you too can learn how to publish a book. Or I totally respect that a lot of people don't want to write books. Here's what you can do. Buy it for someone that you know who wants to publish a book. Then you get to support me and support a friend.
Hell yeah.
So that's linked in the show notes. It comes out January 9th, and it's going to be awesome.
I think I told you that I think the ultimate act of altruism that someone could do would be to inspire the youth to become, self-published authors by buying dozens of copies and donating them to all of your local high schools, because, that would be the right thing to do.
I love that.
So
yeah, I love that too. I can get you a discount if you want to donate books for real.
Dozens of copies is the right number.
Yeah, it has to be dozens though.
Dozens.
I also want to plug in the same breath as my book, The Culmination of My Career. I would also like to plug this head shop I just found. I just bought this really nice bong and grinder.
Oh yeah, the grinder.
from Burning Love. Andrew, these are the two sides of my personality.
It really, I would expect no other way, but it's always just fun seeing it happen because it's
Burning
like you
Love.
said, this culmination of my life's work, and I got a really good bong here too. So these are equal.
Life's all
They're
about
similar
balance.
triumphs. So Burning Love has like high femme, like affordable glassware. Like it's very like girly. There's a tab that says that's just called pink. My new bong's pink. I got a butterfly shaped bowl piece and a rose shaped one as well. So I'm plugging that as well.
Love that.
Danny, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always fun to hang out with you guys, and always fun to talk about good old Harry Potter, the original cult.
Yeah.
Cult of our generation.
My first cult.
Yes, we need matching t-shirts.
We must have been having a good time because I feel like I keep thinking that this has been a really short recording, but it has, like, looking at the numbers, it hasn't.
Really?
So
I'm pretty sure
our conversation was fun and easy.
I'm pretty sure the first 30 minutes of that recording are not actually episode, though.
Oh, yeah,
Really?
absolutely not. I love
30?
it.
No way, was it 30?
I was around 27 when we actually got into it.
Wow.
So.
All right, so maybe it is a short episode.
You know what? It's
or maybe
a good
I
one.
leave all that in.
It's not short, it's just amplified, right? Like it's very concise.
It's not
right?
short, it's average.
Concentrated. It's concentrated. As I've told so many people in my life.
I don't know. This is an average length episode.
Oh, and here's the result of my
Are they
like
dry?
my fingies?
Are they actually dry?
Yeah, they're totally dry, and I touched them up. Yeah.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yep.
From
Is that like
I guess
a-
you can lick my
highlighting-
It's like a velvet color.
Velvet is not a color, I regret to inform you.
You knew what shade I was speaking of when I said it. Though,
From my
just saying.
I
lighting,
definitely
they're
don't
looking-
know what you're saying.
They look like a blood red to me with my lighting. What are they actually?
Yeah, like a really blood red. Maybe like a little browner than that.
Oh,
Even like
all
a
right.
burgundy.
There we go.
Literally,
Uh,
if you Google velvet color, the first thing that comes up is like a dark purpley burgundy.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Whoa. It literally is a color.
So like,
Wow.
boom goes the dynamite.
To me, it is a material.
It definitely
never
is
heard
a material,
the color
but
before.
people associate things
Wow.
and are dumb, so it became its own color that is reflective of
velvet.
that material.
He was right. Guys, he was right. What's happening?
Because I listen to Red Velvet, whose concept is based on the two different
this is
colors.
like-
So
To me, velvet is a cat because those of you who follow me on Instagram,
Oh, yeah.
you'll see that I have two cats, and one of them is named Velvet by Senior
That's very
Rescue
funny.
Kitty. So there we go. She's
Oh.
adorable.
that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Is she burgundy? Is she fluffy?
I actually don't like the texture of the fabric velvet, so I tell people
Oh,
that.
yeah, a lot of people don't, I think.
Yeah, so I tell people that she's the only velvet I like, which is accurate.
Oh, that's
Well,
nice.
nice.
Yeah,
Now I
I've had
can
a couple
say I
different
like-
people tell me that they don't like velvet.
Yeah, well now I can say I like velvet as a color because apparently it's a color. So there we go.
Yeah, and it is a good color.
Yeah.
Anyway, Danny, thanks for coming. Andrew, thanks for coming. Listeners, thanks for coming. Until next time.
Bye.
I'm gonna make it to the end of this podcast, and I will never finish. I'm gonna make it to the end of the restricted section as in its life, and I will never end an episode elegantly. I'm determined to not.
Kumquat.
I love that.
That's it, potheads. Thanks for listening to the restricted section. This podcast is produced and hosted by me, Christina Kahn. Our theme music was produced by Ryan Kahn. Our logo was designed by Michael Hardison. Please connect with us on Twitter @RestrictedPod, on Instagram @RestrictedSectionPod, on Facebook @RestrictedSectionPod, or in our Facebook group, The Restricted Section Detention Crew. Join our Patreon to get access to our Discord server, our bonus episodes, and other cool perks. We're also very happy to be a member of Deus Ex Media, where all you fucking nerds can find all kinds of fandom podcasts to suit your fancy. I'm Christina Kahn,
And I'm Leela Hilton,
and this is Burn Before Reading.
the podcast about shiterature.
We're here to examine the terrible writing we did when we were younger.
Like that school project you were really proud of.
Or that poem you wrote when you got dumped.
Well, how about that apology letter you wrote to your mom when you got into that fight?
Or the song you recorded before you knew how to write music.
Okay, don't at me. And we're here to talk about other cringy literary topics along the way.
Like the Library of Alexandria.
And Dewey Decimal.
His name was Melville Dewey.
Oh, well, do we want to get the clips rolling?
I don't think I ever recovered from this in terms of being cool.
Why did I say any of this?
I do like the drama.
So there is actually quite a bit to unpack here.
Oh, all this drama was so addictive as a teenager.
There's no punctuation to it. I'll start with that.
I actually have no memory of this.
There were so many lies that I was telling it.
It's not terrible.
No one really taught me how to write a good short story.
That was a journey.
Listen to Burn Before Reading.
Every Wednesday, wherever pods are cast.
I really think that you all need to investigate whether that was actually a college or a cult that y'all were part of, because I'm not so sure.
Oh, it's probably a cult, 100%.
Deus Ex Media.